Welcome to the JMark Business Innovation Technology Experience.
Okay, well, thank you, Kim and Mike, for joining us today to talk about the remote experience at the Callaway Bank. Would you both be able to just introduce yourselves real quick, and then we'll talk a little bit about your transition to the remote environment and how that has worked for you.
Go ahead, Kim.
I'm Kim Barnes, President and CEO of the Callaway Bank in Fulton, Missouri.
I'm Mike Hill. I'm the Chief Operating Officer and the Chief Financial Officer at Callaway Bank here in Fulton, Missouri.
So this challenge has been fun, and I say that sarcastically and honestly, both, because this transition to go to a remote work environment, I think, has gone remarkably well given the circumstances in which it was presented to us. People are naturally stressed and have anxiety, and yet, and at the same time, we're asking them to uproot their whole working environment and adapt to something new. I think our transition has gone really, really well. We have about, at this point, 65% of our workforce working remotely, 30% working still, because we're an essential business, 30% of our workforce is working in our branches, keeping those services functional for clients, and about 5% of our workforce is on standby at any given time. So I'm really proud of our team, and I'm really proud of the resources and the technology partners that got us to this point where we could do this so well.
That's wonderful. So, Mike, from the operations side, what were some of the challenges that you guys had in getting this, getting the transition to happen?
I think the first thing for us was trying to understand what kind of connectivity each individual employee had at their house, because that really determined what kind of hardware we needed. And then the second issue was, what kind of hardware did we need? You know, there were some people whose first thought was, okay, I need a laptop, I need this, and we simply didn't have the kind of resources to be able to give everybody a completely brand new machine. You know, for 65% of our employees, we don't have that kind of inventory. And as we were talking about earlier, it's difficult to find. A lot of businesses were going through the same struggles we were. So, you know, we had to be very creative about how we had our resources allocated. So, you know, we went through, we talked to each employee, and as Kim said, you know, it was a very nerve-wracking time for the employees because they wanted to continue to serve the clients and get the work done. At the same time, I'm asking them a lot of questions about what their environment's like and things like that. But a lot of our IT staff really helped, including JMark, really design a situation for each employee. And we've been very creative and we've been very successful in being able to get that many people out. And really the only thing that we've really purchased were 10 new laptops. And so to be able to make that kind of a move from just maybe 30 to 35% of our employees being able to work remotely to 65% with just an increase of only 10 laptops was pretty remarkable. So we were very fortunate to have laid the foundation. You know, a lot of our sales staff, we were really focused on getting them deployed mobily anyway. And so we already had really the base infrastructure to allow remote connectivity already with JMark's help. But, you know, so this was just a matter of, okay, adding more people to that mix. And it's gone, as Kim said, very smoothly.
So have you had to have people access the company resources from their own computers? Was that part of the solution, or have you been able to keep it all onto corporate-owned devices?
We've been able to keep it all to corporate-owned devices. You know, being able to, you know, whether or not somebody connected wirelessly versus being able to plug directly into their router, working with JMark to get those folks set up with VPN capability, with multi-factor, you know, all the additional security controls. We've still been able to use all corporate-owned devices. You know, there are there are things like Office 365, for example, where somebody may be getting that, getting email on their phone. That would be the only thing that would be not corporately owned.
Okay.
I think we were fortunate in the timing. If you can ever say that you're fortunate to have something like this happen, I think we were fortunate in the timing. Our company had, as Mike said, laid the framework, the groundwork, but we were at the cusp of really taking that next step to have more remote and cloud and more enabled communication tools and things like that. So we were at the cusp of rolling out Office 365. We were at the cusp of having some digital communication tools like DocuSign and other things. And man, we were far enough along that we could just escalate those things like crazy and really solve needs in very short time, 2 or 3 days. That was very pleasing to me. Now, would the rollout have been the way we wanted it to be? No, but I'm so very proud of everybody in the equation because everybody has taken it in the spirit that it needs to be. They're willing and they're listening and they're adapting and they're really doing things. The people in the equation are doing things the way we want them to do. And so that's our safety net control mechanism. We don't have all the nooks and crannies the way we want them, but the people are the way we want them. And so that makes a huge world of difference for us.
That's wonderful.
I think another challenge we had too was, we can sometimes be a pretty paper-intensive company, and sometimes we shift some. Yeah, exactly. And so sometimes we shuffle that around. So we've challenged our folks to think of ways that they could use, like Kim said, DocuSign, but even internally, whenever we're used to printing a report, maybe documenting something, on a physical piece of paper, rethinking that. And our employees have done a really good job. And some of the workarounds that we're developing today are probably going to stay with us going forward, because ultimately that's what we want to get to. We want to get to a paperless environment, and this kind of forced us to really think harder and more quickly on that process.
So you guys have mentioned employees a number of times. How have they handled? You had some employees, leadership is my understanding, working remote off and on, but now that a big portion is doing it, how did they handle it? Were there fears? Were there concerns? Were there challenges? Actually,
we had, Mike mentioned 30 to 35%. We had all of the executive team was remotely enabled, and all of our sales force, I'll say, but maybe about 2 were remotely enabled. All of our retail team leaders were mobilely enabled. All of our operational team, or most of them, or maybe say that a different way, a portion of the critical parts of HR and risk management and data processing and accounting and bookkeeping and loan operations. A portion of all of those people were mobilely enabled already too. And so we have the framework and we have the first steps. So let's get those folks moved off site and let's get them working. And then that gives us room to work on the next wave, and they can help the others, right? Because one of their team was already remote. The concept wasn't new, and so people were not as afraid of it, I don't think, and their coworkers could help them through it. Our team of Mike and Allison and Angela and the executive team for the whatever division the person was in did a phenomenal job of communicating with the people and talking and customizing it to their individual situation and being calm and reassuring and answering questions for them. Let's not worry about getting a remote work agreement signed and in place before you take this thing out to your office. We trust you. We know you. We'll work on that tomorrow, okay? Let's just get you up and running. Let's not worry about a stress layer on top of that. That's unnecessary. Let's just work through the practical things that we can do and then we'll worry about the next thing that we can do, and then we'll worry about the next thing that we can do. So be calm, be patient, and that tough team, along with J Mark, moved mountains. You guys, Mike and Allison and J Mark, I can't begin to say enough about the things that were accomplished. But you had a willing audience. You had people saying, I will, I can, what can I do? And I think that helped a huge amount. But it's been amazing.
Kim, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I think one of the cool things about your organization is that you're always leading. You're always out in front, trying to find new and creative ways to deliver value to your customers, deliver value to your team. And I think that your transitions, as they were probably easier than a lot of organizations because you are so forward thinking as an organization, and you had put some of the tools in place in order to do that, where we have other organizations, and sometimes we come across banks who are really nervous and conservative about that. Would you mind to share just a little bit about how you lead the company into kind of the new way of banking, the new way of dealing with the workforce and some of those challenges? Because I think your attitude is more mature, progressive in a very positive way than a lot of organizations, and there's a lot of value that you could share in terms of how you've had to help an old industry transition into a new time.
That's a deep question. And honestly, I'll tell you this, it started 160 some years ago, 1857, okay? Wow. We're an old company. We are an old company, but the standards that have been set throughout our history are, you appreciate your history and you learn from it, but you don't look back all the time. You always look forward, and you're driving toward the next thing that you need to do or that you can do. We take being a community bank seriously. It's not just a label. We live it every day. We are the heart of our community, and we know that responsibility is key to us. So we have a responsibility to be forward-thinking and to do the things that we must to help everybody in this equation. We want to be a good investment for a shareholder. We want to be a good place of employment for the staff, and we want to be a good community partner for all of our clients and the communities that need us in other ways, like civic organizations and just the fabric of the community. So we start there with, we are going to be forward-thinking no matter what. And then you make it client-centric and human-centric, okay? If we do the right things for people in the equation, then we'll succeed. It'll be okay. We want to empower the person in the equation to think about, how can I make this better? How can I solve this for somebody? How can I do the right thing in the right way, but in the most caring and easy, comfortable way that I can? It doesn't have to be uptight and harsh and all focused on, I got to follow the rule. You know, we can follow the rule and be people too. It's okay. There's enough latitude there that we can be good at what we do and be good people in the equation too.
So it sounds like the culture empowered the ability to handle a lot of these challenges. There's a fundamental culture that's built into your organization that's been there for a long time, that is the foundation that you were able to build on as you transitioned into this. And a whole lot of good people in the equation too. Absolutely, yeah.
I think you struck on something that a lot of people don't realize with remote work, and a lot of people are focusing on the tools and the systems and the blinking lights and everything that has to happen. But the most important thing is that you have good leadership, and that you have leaders that care, and that you have employees that care. I mean, employees are going home to stressful situations, and when you have leaders that understand that those employees just want to do the best they can, great things can happen. So what were, from a leadership side, have you had any challenges in, or changes, I should say, in how you go about leading a remote team versus meeting in the office? How is it different now versus a few weeks ago?
A lot of figuring it out on the fly. So I will say this: most of our supervisors had some element of thinking about remote workers already, right? And so it wasn't a foreign concept to them. They didn't start from zero. They started from just a few paces forward. Managers have had to learn how to communicate differently. It's probably the biggest thing that I see. It's requiring a lot more effort on the manager's part to make contact and stay engaged with their staff. So they're having to pull together meetings that they wouldn't normally do, like let's just have a call at 10 o'clock every day, let's touch in at 3 o'clock every day, whatever we need to do. And then individual reach outs on top of that, just to hear that voice. You need to have a touch point. You need to see somebody. You need to hear them in order to have a center to your purpose of remembering what you're there to do, right? People can be self-sustaining a lot. People are strong and they can find their own motivation and they can find a way to do the things that they need to do. But they still need reassurance and they still need to know that they're part of a bigger purpose. And so that takes the touch points and takes communication. There was a point last week where somebody called me out because I hadn't done a communication timely like I should have. And I really appreciated that because, I get wrapped up in my own world and my own priorities and my own things I have to get done. But I have to stop and think, there are other people in this equation that need this more than I do. And so I have to make it happen. Every manager is facing that same question. Mike, I don't know, from a manager standpoint, chime in and talk about what you've done.
It's different for each one. There's some people where, I'll jump on, say a FaceTime call just to see a person. Some people are texters or, some other kind of a chat. I do know that, as Kim said, kind of learning on the fly, we had teams deployed, I'd say level one, just, basic stuff. But it's been important, that's a program that's been important for us because when we get together, as a group, management group, sometimes we'll use, PowerPoint presentations, things like that. How do we share quick information that we've got to make pretty quick decisions on in this kind of an environment? And, I'll say, okay, we're going to screen share in Teams, and maybe not everybody has done that before, so we'll just take a little bit extra time and we just play with it. Try this, try that, and that experience that's been good. And we've been able to try to keep the information flowing so we can make decisions timely. In terms of like culture, motivation, things like that, we've got a group that is really kind of in charge of the culture of the organization, and it's made up of a pretty diverse group of people. And, it's still, we're trying to do business as usual, even though we're not in the same place. And so, this week we've been doing kind of a spirit week. And, just by continuing to do that, we would have done that anyway had we been on site. Well, it's important that we continue to do that. And it was also an opportunity for us to kind of bridge the people that may be working remotely with the people that maybe still be working on site. And I know that's a challenge that you guys face too, is how do you bring that group together? And we were thrown apart in a very short period of time. And so it's very important that you bring it all back. So, you know what, we turn the camera on ourselves and, hey, selfie where you're at, what you're doing. Today is your not favorite team, but, it's Spirit Week. So, what are you passionate about? And so, we're getting pictures of animals, we're getting pictures of kids, we're getting inspirational quotes, things like that go a long way towards keeping everybody connected together.
Mm-hmm.
That's wonderful.
I really wish, we've been talking about deploying Facebook Workplace, and man, we were about 2 weeks too late in getting that started, because right about now, that would be such a powerful tool for us. I know it would be. And I'm really looking forward to getting that. in a rudimentary way usable, because
Yeah.
I think it'll make a big difference. As Mike said, we got to be normal, even though we're not right now.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to remember that, the person I used to see walking by in their office or meeting in the lunchroom or whatever is still there, and they're still doing their job, and I still appreciate what they do as a coworker. But I need to also have that fulfillment of, the chat that I used to have with them about, what they had for dinner last night or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
We still got to be people.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. I'm super excited to get Workplace deployed for you. We're already planning things on the back end, so we're going to make it awesome, and you guys will love it. It has made all the difference in the world to us. In fact, I'm going to have to drop off the call a little bit early. I apologize. In 10 minutes, we're having an all company, we call it a rally, where we're going to get the whole company on a call like this, and it streams directly into Workplace, so everybody can go back and watch it and do all those things. And I've got a couple of conversations and a little prep work I've got to have done before the meeting starts here in about 10 minutes. So I apologize. I've got to drop off. It was certainly good to see you, and look forward to getting engaged with you guys and helping Workplace be amazing for you, and appreciate your partnership. You guys are so awesome. Great to work with great people.
Sure.
Thank you, Tom. It's good to see you too. Take care of yourself.
Yeah. Have a good weekend.
Thanks, you as well.
Thanks, Tom.
Be safe.
You too.
Thanks.
So as we get close to wrapping up here, what would you say to you guys had a lot of the controls in place, and so it wasn't as big of a transition to the organization that we just got to do this now. They didn't have all these controls in place. What would you say to the manager who's struggling with this diverse remote workforce? How are they going to take care of their people and support them?
From a data security and privacy thing, is that what you're going at?
It could be data security, could just be from leadership, culture, keeping the motivation up. There's a lot of challenges with working remote. What is your advice to the manager that's been thrust into that situation?
I guess my word of advice is you can't get hung up on structure and formality in this kind of environment. You got to roll with the punches, and you got to be okay that some things aren't the way you might normally have done them. It's okay. You just got to keep remembering the purpose is to keep your business functional and to keep the services flowing for your client base. As an essential business, we feel that really, really strongly. We've got to be there, and not only do we have to accomplish the tangible thing of getting their transactional activity done, getting their new account, getting their loan booked, whatever, but we have to also be aware that we bring a degree of confidence and calm to our environment too. So not only do we have to be there to take your deposit, but we have to need to do it with a smile and in a very calm way. We can't seem frantic or fear-ridden or full of anxiety when we interact with the client. We have to be steady and reliable and certain. We're going to be here no matter what. We got your back. It's okay. We'll take care of you. Don't worry about it.
Perfect.
Don't let perfection get in your way of starting. In this whole process, what's the expression? You're going to break a few eggs. That's okay. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be 100% the same. But life today isn't 100% the same as it was. So just give yourself the room to make a mistake, and then own it, adjust, and move on to the next challenge.
Perfect.
Yeah. Perfect.
So last question. What are you guys doing, and what have you seen happening in the community? Like, how is the Callaway Bank helping the community, and what are some examples you've seen of the community kind of coming together through the situation?
We've seen a lot of positivity. A lot of groups, a lot of organizations are, as a way to keep their members or their group of people together, they're picking a cause or they're supporting a positive effort in some kind of way. And of course, we can support all of those things with our social media presence or with the organizations that we're affiliated with on a routine basis. We can keep those affiliations going. We can also do tangible banking work. Right now, if you have a mortgage, it's a great time to refinance because rates are low. And so our mortgage volume is more than double what it normally is. So our people are in their homes and in their workplaces, wherever they are, home or on site, cranking out loans for people and helping them improve their financial situation. The stimulus programs that ended up providing funds for business loans, wow, those things have had to be stood up in a very, very short period of time. And
Sure.
and I had an entire team, we had an entire team of people who were really digging in, no matter where they are, figuring out what needed to happen, collaborating together, solving problems, and delivering loan products in less than a week to the business community that is frantic and really desperate for them. We couldn't fail in that, and we haven't. We're ready. Some of the big banks are whining about they didn't have enough time, they're not ready. Well, we are.
Great.
I think, Todd, too, some of the other things that not only is Kim shouldering a lot of responsibility in our organization, but, come Monday, she's going to be participating in a panel webinar for our community to kind of help our businesses, even the people that aren't affiliated with the Callaway Bank, help them kind of sort through the difficulty of trying to determine what's the best program for you. Because there's a lot of programs out there to support the clients, and she's out there as a resource. The other thing I want to bring up, too, is, for the last pandemic, we actually had some supplies that we found.
Oh, yeah.
And it included not only some of the face masks, but gloves as well. And, as you heard on the news, there's just a great need in the community. We reached out to some local healthcare providers and said, here's some extra. So between the volunteerism and things like that, I'm really proud of the way our team continues to interact with the community because, we're all in it together. So
Wonderful. Well, thank you for taking the time to talk with Tom and I today, and you guys have a wonderful weekend and keep up the great work.
Thank you, Todd.
See you, Todd.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
See you, Mike.
See you, Kim.
Bye.
Thank you for attending this podcast. We hope it has been informative and helped convey that at JMark, we are people first and technology second. To learn more and discover additional content relevant to your business, please visit us online at jmark.com or at LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. You may also call us at 844-44-JMark. Thank you for your time, and we look forward to seeing you again.